1,427 days since Richard was murdered on the Fort Bliss footprint, and it was a code red. That means it was an internal order to have him killed. And why? What was the motive? Because he was a whistleblower, because he was exposing criminal activity on Fort Bliss. And it's not a crazy thing, because Fort Bliss is in El Paso, Texas, which is the border city with Juarez, Mexico. And as you know, Juarez, Mexico, and you might not know this, is absolutely a war zone right now. I mean, I am hearing that so many people are being brutally murdered. These are brutal. Oh, that's loud. I guess I'm on. So there is so many brutal murders over there. And of course, Juarez, Mexico, I consider that a Siamese sister city of El Paso, because they are connected. You might have, I think, twice as many population in Juarez, Mexico than you do in El Paso, but they are connected. They only have a fence in between them, and of course the Rio Grande, which is not very. There's not very much water. Water is being controlled, obviously, and I can give my opinion on that, because I used to live in El Paso when I was a girl, and there was a lot more water at that time. There was a lot more water, and I don't think it's climate change or anything like that. I think that water is being controlled, and I guess that's just from living in Ireland and having so much water, and then a company came in and wanted to control the water there. And it's like, the Irish are like, oh, what do you mean control the water and make us pay for the water? Because they don't, they historically don't have water bills in Ireland, because there's so much water. There's just so much. And it's anyway, so that to have that kind of war zone over in Juarez, and for us to say there's criminal activity on Fort Bliss and El Paso, and that Richard, when he got there, he told us it's just so bad. It is so bad. Okay? It is so bad. And, so we all know that there is crime. We all know that people, will sneak drugs and try to sell drugs and, steal things and try to extort and all of that. We know that. Our family knows that. So for Richard to say it is so bad, and then to be reporting multiple times to Child Protective Services, to call FBI Houston, to talk to Washington, D.C., there was something going, there was, it was really, really bad. And we know from Brigadier General David Stewart that there were absolute audits going on Fort Bliss when it comes to weapons, because he told us that the barracks were flush with weapons, that they had a weapons problem. And, that never really got resolved. The weapons, because we got reports of health and welfare checks where loads of weapons were confiscated, or they would even let them, they would say, if you come forward now, you're not going to get in trouble. So we have all of that documented. Remember the one um, assault rifle laying on the middle of the road there at Fort Bliss, right in the middle of an intersection. That also happened. So there are security breaches everywhere, and it is absolutely not outlandish for us with all of the evidence that we have, the hard evidence, the circumstantial evidence, the irregularities, to say that Richard, um, well, it's the only thing to say. It's the only thing to say because the U.S. government looked at the evidence and they determined Richard to be deceased. They're still keeping Richard's remains from us. I think they're going to try to figure out what they're going to do, what they're going to do in all of this, because you see, the longer that they take, more and more information is coming out. And what do I mean by that? When we um, moved to El Paso in September of 2020 to look for our son, to hold rallies for 4 to 6 times a week. And I'm not kidding on that. That's all recorded. We were out there every day, making ourselves available for anybody there to come up and talk to us without being feared of being recorded or, any kind of, yeah, really, just to be able to come on the corner of the street, stand next to us, and talk to us. We did that for months. And of course, a lot happened. We received a lot of information. We know that the IG were all over the barracks because of Halliday. We know that Dallas Hart was Richard's platoon leader. We know that Leilani Hart is Dallas Hart's mother, who had unauthorized access to the CID of El Paso, and to the files, to Fort Bliss, the Fort Bliss CID, and to the files and to Richard's file. And we have that corroborated by Bob Moore's group. Who have, starting really in January of 2023, started, and I would say really bad in February of 2023. No, I take that back. January of 2023, they started their absolute retaliation against the investigation of Richard. And this was Bob Moore's group. Okay, Bob Moore of El Paso Matters, the of El Paso Community Foundation, and the media there takes his stories and publishes it. So he has a force multiplier, and he's unreliable, and he is unethical, and he is really, to me, he's on life support because his credibility is so low. Now, did I make his credibility low? No. He made his own credibility low. He is the one that colluded with Bill Hicks, with Justin Underwood. And you have to understand, Justin Underwood, the attorney, these are attorneys. Justin Underwood was an ad litem to the Walmart mass shooting. He was under that gag order, okay? And yet he was on social media talking about how to get rid of Yvonne Rosales. Um, that's just very, very unethical, right? Very, very unethical with Bob Moore, This is Bob Moore's group with Bill Hicks, the usurper, the usurper of the 34th Judicial District Attorney's Office. A broken criminal justice system is now, that's what's going on in El Paso. In El Paso, a border city with Juarez, Mexico, where they are having absolutely a war zone there, an absolute war zone. And El Paso is suffering from a broken criminal justice system. No prosecutor, no prosecutor, because he's a usurper and he is tainting, he is botching every case because he's a usurper. I mean, lucky criminals, right? Lucky criminals, they have a usurper as a district attorney for El Paso. He's illegal. He's illegal in that situation. That's what that means. That he has not followed the requirements, and therefore he should not be there. And if you don't follow the requirements of the Texas Constitution, then the cases are botched. And so this is Bob Moore's group. And Bob Moore, who absolutely has received the information about all of this, is not reporting it. And he's media. He's media. And, you know, when I was just now talking, when we moved to El Paso, talking about that time in 2020, and in October of 2020, Nadal Baim walked into a Dollar General store and told the cashier that Richard was dead. To make a long story short, that Richard was dead, and it was a secret. That the FBI had found Richard's parts, right? And that he was an FBI agent. So we have found out from that time that he indeed, we have evidence that corroborates all of that. And, why is it a secret that Richard, remains were found? They should absolutely tell us. We know now because the U.S. government reviewed all of the evidence, not just, there's a lot of evidence that we have been presenting. And the CID have been left wanting. Because why are they not doing a deep dive investigation into Nadal Baim, where he worked, the Dollar General, who was working next to him, about the property, what connections that he has, and are those connected to Richard's case, and the prime suspects being Dallas Hart, Richard's platoon leader, and his mother, Leilani Hart. Why is the CID not doing a deep dive investigation into that? These are trained investigators. So, and why is Bob Moore not doing a deep dive in that? Because they know a lot going on in that area of El Paso, or on that street at Donovan, and more, because where the Dollar General was, they absolutely know that area because Bill Hicks knows that area, is connected, and the Ortegas know that area, and the Harts know that area. And, it's why doesn't Bob Moore tell us how all these dots come together, right? Isn't he supposed to be an investigative journalist? But no, his group is too busy being imposters and harassing and retaliating against our family. And when they retaliate, they don't retaliate kindly. They are absolutely vile and vulgar. Vile and vulgar. And that has been documented. And I've been thinking about sharing the vile and vulgar harassment and retaliation with everyone. But there are ongoing investigations into Bob Moore because he has put himself on life support. His credibility is on life support because he is up to no good. Up to no good. And that is coming back and being on full display. He has no credibility because his associate is the likes of Amber Chase, is the likes of Leilani Hart, is the likes of others that make this very personal and want to be very vile and vulgar. And I'm sure it is personal for them because there are also suspects in the murder case of our son. And the murder of our son is a capital murder case. And that's why they're very worried about this immunity talk that we gave right from the very beginning, 4 years ago, just about, not quite, but almost 4 years ago. Why didn't they come forward then, right? But now that things are getting exposed, they're worried about the immunity. And, we're worried about the immunity too, because we absolutely want to have that to offer. Absolutely. Because the leadership tends to try to find someone to take the fall so that they don't have to. They're just that evil. They have no ethics either. And so, and one of the suspects that we think that they're doing this to is Danae Katzen. And absolutely, she is not an innocent bystander in this at all. She's right in the middle of it all. She's right in the middle. She knows. She knows a lot. Right? And yet, we hope that she comes forward. We have been told by as family members that things are a little bit not so good, strained. And so maybe coming forward and doing something good like this will help her. Thank you, Anicia, for coming on. So we are looking at a lot of these addresses because we're hitting the jackpot. We're absolutely hitting the jackpot. And I probably shouldn't say it that way, right? Because I'm just thinking about Amber Chase and Bob Moore's recent retaliation against us. Yeah. It's so vile and vulgar and so absolutely cold-blooded. And so we've been writing that. That's probably, um, yeah, it makes you speechless when you think about it. And I want to really share it because people need to know that Bob Moore's group is up to no good. They are so cruel. And, and, it's like the bullets coming at you from, from the Matrix. Uh, they're very cruel, but you can just flick them off, when you understand where they're coming from and these addresses and the associations of these individuals give you the power to understand what's going on. So stick with us. I know I have this little pause because there's so much going on right now, and I'm trying to think about what I'm allowed to say. What I'm allowed to say, um, because so many are being exposed right now, and it is not quite too late yet. It is really on the edge, and I'm not just saying this. I'm just saying if you don't want to be on the wrong side of a capital murder case, you really need to come forward now and say what you know. Because Bob Moore's group is, their credibility is shot. And and ours has been going up. Ours has been going up and his has been going down, rightfully so. Rightfully so, because we've caught him. We've caught him doing very unethical things. And yeah, he cannot be trusted. He cannot be trusted in anything that he writes, his publications or the other materials. I really would be, you know, uh, careful on if you ever read any of his stuff. I'd be very, very careful because it's just, well, if you're a media company, you might be liable, right? Um, so but the rest, it's just more garbage. More garbage. That's what it is. It's not the truth. It's to mislead the public. And we think that is a very, very serious crime. A very serious crime. So, okay, everyone, thank you so much. I know it's very, very late, but I wanted to come on to tell you about um, the why they are not doing their investigative journalism, why the CID is not doing their um, investigation, right? Because it's not that hard. They should have had this solved years ago, absolutely years ago, because they have much better tools than we do, and they have many more people and resources. And so, absolutely, they would have been heroes. But they played patty cakes while um, others were regrouping, right? That's why they've been able to put us through the harassment that they have, um, because of being organized. So, so why doesn't Bob Moore report that? Clearly, clearly there is a problem, and we know what the problem is. So, thank you, everyone. God bless you. I will be back on tomorrow, and please share everything. share the screenshots that I put up. Um, the whole thing with the car, the buying of used cars is very, very interesting. That's all breaking. And we first want to report that to all the authorities before we say it live. And yeah, because they are without an excuse. They could have solved all of this years ago. So thank you so much. God bless you, and I will be back tomorrow.